But this is not the same kind of thermite which was used on the French part. This is, we call it nanothermite, because it has been prepared by nanotechnology. It's a basically, fundamentally different way of producing materials than usual. If you have to make a finely divided powder, what you usually do is you take something bigger and grind it. Okay? So you make something bigger, smaller. In nanotechnology, you start from, it's a bottom-up approach. You start from the atom, so you build the material from the atom upwards. This has two very important consequences. One thing is that everything gets smaller. We are operating on a scale of length here. 1 nanometer is 1 millionth of a millimeter. It's very small. And so this is the scale you're operating. It's a little bigger than atomics and molecules, but it is beyond molecules. And the other thing is that in this procedure, you have the option of adding other substances to the material. So, and because everything gets smaller, it reacts faster and more efficiently. And because you have the option of putting in other stuff, you can use the energy of the thermite for actually converting it into an explosive. We do not know, I must emphasize this. I know this presentation has been announced. We are using the term explosive thermite. We do not know actually what this thermite served as exactly. Let me give you a few more details. This is an electronic microscope picture of the same chip, and there are no pictures on electron microscope spectroscopy. So this is the red layer you have here, down here at the bottom, and the gray layer you have on top. I show you this for giving the proportions of these chips. This is 1/10 of a millimeter. So these are very thin, and usually the lengths of the chips are the same order of magnitude. The first one I showed you was a real big one, real big fat one, several millimeters. Usually they're much less. So you actually need a microscope to find them, and also have some skill and experience in finding them, particularly those which can do what I'm going to show you now here, because they can react, and in the reaction they produce iron. This is the predominant property of the red-gray chips that we have discovered, is that they are reactive and they produce iron in the process. This is actually, this is a semi-reactive chip from the dust. With some luck you can find them. And the point is here that the iron sphere is connected to the chip. This is semi-reactive. This is a chip which has been burned in the laboratory, and you see the iron sphere being formed here. And I'll believe you, I'm not going to bother you with more energy dispersive spectroscopy. But what we can do is we can analyze exactly the composition of these spheres being formed from the reactive nanothermite chips. And these are iron spheres. There's also some aluminum and silicon in, which there should be, as you saw before from the commercial thermite, but it's predominantly iron. Point is, number one, the nanothermite, the nanochips, the red-gray chips produce iron in reaction. This is our main argument for identifying this as something which shouldn't be there. We don't know what it is. This has led to a scientific publication where I have the honor to be on the team together with 8 other distinguished scientists. One of them sitting here on the bandstand, Dr. Frank Legge from Perth. And this came out on April 3rd last year. And in the meantime, it has not been shut down. And it has not been challenged by any serious scientific means. And this makes me quite confident. It must be the most reviewed and thoroughly studied paper in recent history. And I'm very confident now. If it has really stood this year without any serious challenge. And so we still believe in our conclusions. We have found something in the dust which can do things. Being an incendiary or being an explosive, we're not sure. I'm going to show you in a while. I have a guess. we should just say if there's something there, it shouldn't be there. And those who put it there should tell us how they made it and how they got it there. Now, so my final thing will be some guess. I'll close with another video from David Chandler. This is the South Tower exploding. And if somebody has thinking about all these scripts coming out of the towers, if they could be pancaking of the building, well, you're going to see here three things. First, you'll see explosions, actually these scripts, coming out of the South Tower above the impact point of the airliner. Next, you'll see that the top of the building disappears as it tumbles over it. Remember that the South Tower started to tilt, and it should have continued tilting because this is what things do, but it doesn't, it disappears. Most importantly, you'll see rocket fragments. These are fragments which, for once, move to the ground faster than free fall, and it's easily comparable because you have the debris falling freely just beneath it, but it's actually racing to the ground faster than free fall. How can anything do that, move faster than free fall? Only if you have a rocket tied to your back and you're moving downwards. Or another fragment which is coming out and then suddenly change direction 90 degrees. How come? If you throw a stone, it will continue in a trajectory, which is parabola, but it will go like that. But here you see something coming out, and then suddenly it changes to 90 degrees, makes a 90-degree turn. This could be our thermite. I think this could be our thermite. That's all I say.
Don't lean on the wall. Don't lean on the wall.
It's not so long. I'm finishing it very shortly.
South Tower of the World Trade Center, helicopter south. This particular video clip is rich in details that call the official story into question. Notice the numerous explosions on the west side of the building above the impact point. As the top 30-floor section falls, it tips to the east. It starts off intact, but then it disintegrates in midair. Gravity alone could not cause the top section to disintegrate. When an object is in free fall, there are no internal stresses. It should have hit the ground in one piece, but it didn't. Some of the debris is clearly being accelerated by forces other than gravity. These effects can be caused by late firing explosives, which can produce a white smoke trail. White smoke, consisting of aluminum oxide, is a byproduct of the thermite reaction. While producing this video, I ran across one rocket projectile I had not seen commented on before. This one stopped midair and changed directions. Even taking perspective effects into account, this projectile lost one component of momentum and gained another. That requires the impulse. Note that the rocket trail does not point back to the building, but the point where the impulse occurred. Let's take it from the top. There's a lot going on. Watch for the smoking guns.
Oh yeah.
It's time now for a summary. It'll be very short. It will last 6.5 seconds. True, because I'll tell you my personal story. When I started my involvement with the 9/11 truth movement began, I think, close to 3-4 years ago, when I saw Building 7 for the first time. I'm a natural scientist. I'm trained to analyze my surroundings and always search for explanations. And for once, I was told this is World Trade Center. What? I thought it was the Twin Towers. Why had nobody told me about this skyscraper? Second, I couldn't understand why the building was collapsing. So I pushed the button 10 times, and my jaw went further down. And since that day, for me, there's been no way back. Well, you have seen it so many times. The caves don't like this. Thank you, gentlemen, for your, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. I'm sorry for the technical
Yes, John.
Now, questions, comments, whatever, and refer to our panel.